What's up, everybody? It's Thomas with World Animal Foundation, back again with two more smart collars today in the affordable realm of smart collars. We're going to cover the features, tracking capability, app usage, accuracy, how effective they are, subscriptions, price, everything. And it's the Fi versus the Tractive. So let's see where it goes. Sit back and enjoy. So let's kick things off with design and durability. Both of these smart collars are pretty solid devices. The Tractive, as you can see, is a big, thick device. It's thick all the way through. It's got a little rubber backing here. You just slide whatever collar you want to purchase, as long as it's, reasonable. It's going to slide through this device and keep it in place. And it's a solid piece of plastic. I say that, not really joking, but it's plastic. But it's not going anywhere. It does have an IP rating, so it's weatherproof. You can take it outside. Your dog can waller in the mud, and it's going to be fine. It's an overall solid device. The Fi Series 3, this latch here is made of metal. It's the first time I've had a collar with a latch that's made of metal. It's not a flimsy, weak metal either. You can't bend it. It's dense. It's got some heft to it. It feels pretty solid. The actual Fi hardware and software sits right here in this little thing, which completely detaches from here, using these little magnetic clamps that go on in the back, and they kind of just latch over the little hinges on this thing. So it's really solid. Once you put it on there, it's not going anywhere. And it just looks like a regular everyday collar. I mean, nobody's going to know the difference unless they see it and recognize it for what it is. The Fi on the front, nobody's going to know what it is. It looks like a regular collar, and it's absolutely solid. It's not going anywhere unless your dog likes to chew through their own collars. Now, believe it or not, I've seen dogs that can do that. How they get their head around like that, I don't know, but they can do it. Both collars utilize GPS and cell coverage. The Fi Series uses what's called LTM, which is older, no longer used cell carrier signal, and it's really primarily, today, it's still used, but it's not used by your major cell carriers. It's primarily for the Internet of Things devices. Now, if you're not familiar with Internet of Things devices, those are smart home devices, things that you have around your house. A smart collar like the Fi Series 3 certainly qualifies as an Internet of Things device. So it's a reliable, solid network. I've taken this thing out on car trips and used the map. In fact, I've got videos on both the Tractive and the Fi Series 3 showing their accuracy. So that's not something you have to worry about. Just because you haven't heard of LTEM doesn't mean it doesn't work. It works fine. I think it's very precise, very accurate. You can do geofencing with both of these. However, they're not containment. These virtual fences that you put on there for these devices, both the Tractive and the Fi Series 3, you can adjust them, you can customize them, but they're not designed to keep your dog in like the Spot On or the Halo collar. They're designed only to alert you if your dog goes out of the boundaries. I'm out of here, see you later, goodbye, gone. That's when these collars step in and fill that tracking need in case your dogs get loose or escape. Both of them have activity monitoring, sleep, how many steps your dog's taking, how lazy your dog is, your dog laying around the house all day. It's going to keep track of that. If your dog is hyperventilating and running all over the place, it's going to keep track of that too. So the activity monitoring feature for both collars is pretty spectacular. I like it because you jump on the app, which is a pretty, intuitive for both of them. I like the Tractive app probably a little bit better because the Fi Series 3 is to me, it's a little cluttered, and you'll see that here pretty soon. It's difficult to find some things. Once you get used to it, it's fine. But to begin with, for beginners, it's definitely a little cluttered and difficult to find stuff. But both of them keep nice visual bar graphs and, data breakdowns and everything of your dog's activities and health, which is an excellent feature. I think all smart collars should have that. The range, the Tractive, has no distance limitation whatsoever. No matter where you are in the world, there's no distance limitation. So if your dog was to run away and jump on a United Airlines flight and take it all the way over there to Japan, you could find your dog in Japan. The Fi Series 3, however, it has the same. It is no limitations whatsoever unless you're outside of the United States. You have to be in the U.S. to use the Tractive, or the Fi Series 3. The battery life is pretty good for both of them. It's a lot better than the Halo or the Spot On collars. For the Fi Series 3, you get up to 3 months. Now, in reality, no, you're not getting 3 months, maybe a month and a half. But that's just the way it is with all devices that have batteries. If they've got batteries in them, they're going to advertise a certain amount of time and you're never going to get that. If you got a smartphone, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. The Tractive lasts between 8 and 30 days if you don't have it in, or if you have it in power saving mode, which means it's in your yard, connected to your Wi-Fi. And once it goes outside of your Wi-Fi now and starts using the cell signal and GPS and stuff, and it's no longer in power saving mode, and that 8 to 30 days that it normally lasts is cut in half to 4 to 15 days. So, like I said, both of them have excellent apps. They're both really intuitive, easy to use, except for the 5 Series 3. It's a little bit convoluted when you first jump on there for the first time, getting used to it, trying to find stuff. Once you get used to it, though, you're good as gold. So what are the pros and cons of the Tractive and the 5? I mean, everything in life has its drawbacks, and these two smart collars are they're pretty good. I like them, but there are exceptions. As far as the Tractive, it's got, very wide cell coverage. In fact, you can use it anywhere across the world as long as you have the right subscription plan. It's got a decent battery life, 8 to 30 days. I mean, that goes above and beyond anything the Spot On or the Halo offers, even though those things have a lot more hardware packed into them. I think that the Tractive is a solid, durable collar, but like I said earlier, it's bulky, it's thick, and it might not be the best option for the smallest of dogs, or it might even be irritating for some larger dogs. But in terms of just its durability, that thing ain't going nowhere. I mean, you just about have to smash it on concrete to break it. The subscription, to me, is the cons for the, it makes up all of the cons for the Tractive. It's convoluted, it's huge, it's confusing, it's just way overboard. They ought to simplify things, I think, and make things a lot easier, especially with the various different Tractive devices they have out there. The 5 Series 3, it's got, it integrates with your Wi-Fi, which I like, as long as you're inside the yard, and close enough to your Wi-Fi, it integrates with that and it works wonderfully. It's very, very accurate. I've taken it out, I've tested it. I've got my previous reviews that you can check out anytime. I like some of the higher tier subscription plans for it, because they actually do save you a little bit of money, even though, you got to pay a pretty significant amount up front. As far as cons, it's got when it has a weak signal, that battery drops like a rock. I noticed with mine that even though I have it inside the house, I had it basically charging behind my one of my TVs, and I guess the signal wasn't very strong there, and a 3-month battery ended up lasting maybe 3 weeks at most. So if you have a weak signal inside your house or outside or wherever, it really is detrimental to the battery on the 5 Series 3. When it comes to the price and subscription fees for the 5 Series 3, I think it's quite a conundrum, okay? The reason I say that is because the 5 Series 3 probably has one of the most complicated subscription services, purchase plans I've seen in a smart collar. If you just look at the collar itself, it's $20, okay? That sounds extremely reasonable, especially considering what the 5 Series 3 collars are supposed to be able to do. However, you've also got an additional $20 activation fee. Then you have a multi-tiered subscription plan with a 6-month commitment, regardless of the plan you choose, and a 30-day return option to go along with it. However, if you don't like the collar and it doesn't do what you want it to do and you return it within that 30 days, you don't get any of the money back you spent up front. They just stop charging you for the subscription plan. And if that sounds convoluted, that's because it is. Now, the Tractive is not like a Halo or Spot On collar. It doesn't send you alerts when your dog crosses outside of the safe zone. What it does do is basically let you live track your dog. Now, you can set your iPad or smartphone or other tablet to live tracking and get constant updates on where your dog is at every 2 to 3 seconds. Or if you just leave it like it is, the app will simply give you an update every 10 minutes or so, letting you know where your dog is. It's pretty simple. It is pretty accurate, as you can see if I'm moving around here on the map. And then, of course, if you want to, you can switch it over to walk mode, like you're walking your dog. And if you do that, the app will then use the 2 to 3 second update thing again and track and actually draw a line across the map, so you can see exactly where your dog's walking and in what direction. So even though you're not necessarily walking your dog, you're looking at where your dog is at any given moment, and that helps you to track them. And of course, when you get close, you also have the Bluetooth capability on there, which fills in the blue circle the closer you get, especially when your device connects to the Tractive, because once it connects, it knows that it's close and starts filling in that blue circle, which helps you locate your dog. Then you can also turn on the sound on the Tractive device so you can hear it, and the light so you can see it in case you're looking for your dog at night. So the 5 Series is supposed to act just like the Tractive, not necessarily containing your dogs or even alerting you all that much about, if your dog leaves the safe zone. Right now, the 5 Series 3 is telling me that Athena is outside of the safe zone. Well, I'm standing in the safe zone, and you just saw Athena. She's definitely inside the safe zone. It also has Aries inside the safe zone, but as you can see on the app right now, as I'm recording this, that there is absolutely no movement whatsoever. Now, I called and made a customer complaint with customer service for the 5 Series 3, and I'll get into that coverage here in a little bit. But as of right now, neither 5 collars are doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. Okay, so in the course of making this 5 Series 3 versus Tractive video, I ran into my first glitch with the 5 Series 3. Unfortunately, it was a big glitch, okay? If you go back and watch some of my coverage of the 5 Series 3 earlier, which those videos are available for you to check out at any time, when you went outside of the safe zone with a collar, you got a notification alert on my smartphone. This time, when I did the comparison of the 5 Series 3 with the Tractive and I went outside the safe zone with the collars, nothing. Okay, so I stood outside of that safe zone for a little while, still got nothing. So I decided to come back in, charge them completely up to 100%, and then I took them well outside the safe zone in my backyard and basically just hung them on my fence. Came back inside and waited and waited and waited. I actually went to sleep, woke up the next morning, checked my alerts. Those collars are, a good several yards outside of the safe zone. Nothing. So I contacted customer service. Now they make that pretty easy. You just jump on there through the app, and since I have the basic subscription, I have to email them. If you want to communicate with them in a quicker manner other than email, you have to have a higher level subscription. So we went back and forth over a few things, which I'm supplying the screenshots here, but basically they went ahead and reset the base for me for both collars. They reset the collars themselves for me, and it was still giving me the issue, which I reported back to them. Each and everything that they did, I reported back my response. So finally, they told me to take the collars for a walk, and a 20 to 30 minute walk well outside of the safe zone. I had to turn Bluetooth off. I had to turn the dog alert on, lost dog alert on, which is a feature of the app. And so I went on this 20 to 30 minute stroll. I started at 4:23 p.m. and I began walking, was well outside of the safe zone within 30 seconds because, the safe zone is basically my yard. Did a big circle around the neighborhood, came back in the allotted time. It was like 25 minutes or so, and went ahead and reported that I got notifications, but I got notifications long after I left the safe zone. I think I got my first notification for Athena's collar about 10 minutes after I had already left. They responded by telling me that even though I had left at 4:23, it showed that the collars were on the charging bases at 4:31, which was completely inaccurate. Number one, I didn't need to charge them. They were like 90, 100%, something like that. They didn't need to be charged. I had already charged them the previous day trying to work through all this stuff. And so we kind of, I told them what was going on. They responded with all of that. And they told me that, the fact that the Tractive traces your pathway out and you can actually get on the app and look at your pathway where you walked. I had both collars in my hand, Athena and Aries. It tracked the Aries one pretty well. I went up one street, came back down, crossed over a series where we have our running power lines, came back around through the woods to my house, and it tracked his fine. However, Athena's went way off course, coming back to the house and actually entering the safe zone, which I never approached during this entire period. And then going back out to where I actually was and coming back in. Their response was, that's completely normal, don't worry about it. and you're supposed to get an alert 2 to 5 minutes after the safe zone. Well, I'm sitting here thinking, if you have a collar and your dog decides to take off, who wants to get an alert 5 minutes later? I mean, you want to get an alert as soon as they leave the safe zone. That's kind of what smart collars are all about. So I had to add this in here. It's unfortunate, and it's especially unfortunate that if it was just the one collar, I can understand maybe there's a glitch going on, there's something wrong, get a replacement collar, that sort of thing. But it's both collars, and both of these collars are brand new. They're not beat up, they're not used, they haven't gone through the ringer. These are pretty much brand new collars. So I hate to say it, but the 5 Series 3 is not looking good so far. So in conclusion, the Tractive did pretty much exactly what I expected it to do. It's a little sluggish. It doesn't give you any kind of alerts or anything like that if your dog leaves out of the yard. It's really just a device for tracking in case your dog gets out and you realize what's going on, or live tracking if you're in an unfamiliar place with your dog and you really just want to see what your dog is doing with a 2 to 3 second update. It's definitely not a containment system, just like the 5 Series 3 is not a containment system. These are both tracking collars, and as you can see with the 5 Series 3 and the stuff I covered with customer service, got 2 brand new collars that have hardly been used very often that are no longer working. And like I said, if you've seen any of my previous videos, you know that originally I wasn't having issues with them, but it has not been all that long, and they have not gone through an extensive amount of use, and they're no longer functioning like they should be. As far as durability and just design factors, both collars look outstanding. The Tractive is a little bulky, but it's durable. Both 5 Series collars and the Tractive are all durable collars. They don't look hideous or ugly or anything like that. They're functional. It's just that, like I said, the biggest issue and biggest takeaway or disappointment, however you want to look at it, from today is the failure of the 5 Series 3 to function correctly, and the Tractive being a little bit sluggish. Ultimately, though, the Tractive, you're looking at somewhere between $39.99 and $49.99 for it, and as a tracking device, I think it's fantastic. So if I had to make a choice between the two right now, I would definitely say go with the Tractive, and this is the Tractive XL, just to clear up any confusion. So the Tractive XL would be my choice personally.